Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today, we're joined by Leela, who has an amazing 695 on the GMAT Focus Edition with a perfect Q90, a stellar D82, and an impressive V82. Congratulations, Leela, on this massive improvement from a 570 score and coming out on top.
Thank you so much, Rida. That's very nice of you. And thanks to e-GMAT for the wonderful support that you guys have given me during the entire journey. Thank you
It's
so much.
it's been our sincere pleasure to have you along the way, truly, right? But it's been a months-long journey for you where we've had our ups and downs, and like I said, finally you've come out victorious. If you had to look back at your entire journey retrospectively, what do you really think stands out to you as the biggest challenge that you overcame in your entire GMAT journey?
The challenge was definitely verbal. It's undoubtedly verbal because initially I started off with a good score. I thought I'm very good at verbal, and probably I relaxed a bit while doing
Mhm.
the course. Then midway, I realized no, this is something I really need to focus on. And then I've redone the course after perfecting a bit of my strategy.
Mhm.
And then I was doing well in cementing and all. I got 90%, somewhere at
Mhm. Oh,
70%.
wow. Mhm.
Yeah. And then I gave a pause for CR and I probably moved ahead for DI, RC and all. When I
Mhm.
came back after a month, and again I had to start at zero.
Oh,
So,
no.
and it was like, what is it? What's happening with me? So then again, I have to go through the course. So all this entire verbal section was like doing something. I took a gap, again came back, doing something, again going back. So this created a lot of confusion in my preparation, and it has given me many anxious days. So
I
that's
can
the
imagine.
biggest challenge.
And you overcame it, right? You
Yeah.
absolutely did. So that's the really, really brilliant part here, right? But we'll delve deeper into how you really transform things on the verbal side. Let's start right at the beginning, though. I know that when you came on board, you took that first mock test and you got a 570. And I'm sure you had your sights set high. How did it really feel starting from that score? Did you feel a sense of worry? Were you very determined? What was your initial reaction?
Seeing the score, like I was expecting a good score in quant, probably a lesser score in verbal, and a decent score in DI. But my expectations were totally reversed. I got a bad score in quant.
Hmm.
DI, I could not do well at all. Verbal, I got a very good score.
Hmm.
So that time there was sentence correction because classic addition was also there. So I understood, like, if you see in CR, I was able to solve all of them. RC also, it was very good. Sentence correction, I was not able to do. So I thought, okay, sentence correction is the only problem. Quant and DI, I need to work a lot. I shouldn't be overconfident on myself about quant. So that's the first learning I got from the mock exam. Anyway, I didn't take it very seriously because it is just to gauge where you are.
Of
So
course.
that's how it started.
All right. So you started off, uh, you'd taken the mock, you started off, you'd set some benchmarks, and then you actually did start out with your verbal prep. Because this was during the time of the GCE, you started out with SC and then you moved into CR. But I think you had a realization somewhere along the way that you had missed one key piece of that GMAT verbal prep. Can you tell me what it was?
I'll tell you what I have done and what others shouldn't do.
Okay.
So so that it doesn't consume much of their time. I have done the sentence correction course straight away.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got cementing was also decent. Then I moved on to CR with a good confidence that I was very good at CR because I got whatever I have attempted, I was able to do, but the timing was a constraint in the mock exam. So halfway through the course, I understood something is not right.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went back, I've seen the course structure and everything. Then I missed one key concept of master comprehension. I
Mm-hmm.
would say that is the very soul of the exam. If you can master this one module, probably you can ace the entire GMAT. That is how key that skill is.
Oh.
Master comprehension essentially tells you, like, you have to read, absorb the data, pause at regular intervals, and then move forward. Generally, I think what I have adopted the traditional approach, go through the entire passage or go through the entire question of quant or go through the entire RC and then jot down the points. But by the end, when you reach the end, you're like clueless. Where did I start and where did I end? That is what you'll end up with. And
Mm-hmm.
moreover, GMAT, the questions are so designed that you have a very carefully laid traps in the question. In quant also you have this. These traps can be very easily identified and noted down only if you're pausing at that regular intervals and proceeding it. I thought this is like a very, probably a childish approach. That was what I was thinking. This is not how it should be. A very mature or at this age who has got all the skills, this person shouldn't be pausing at regular intervals to understand the data. This is what I thought. But then it changed my entire thought process, my entire perspective, and my entire approach.
Mm-hmm.
That's what has totally transformed my prep in verbal or DI or quant.
Oh,
That
wow.
I would say. I think I would recommend everyone to first go through the master comprehension and then do anything else.
Absolutely, right? It is very much that essential first step. But I applaud you for understanding that you weren't reaching the heights that you could have, and then making the right pivot to fill in this gap and then resuming your prep, right? Okay. So you'd gone through master comprehension, you understood what was missing, and then you came back into CR. Looking back at CR, because I know it was one of the sections that you put in the most effort to excel in,
Yes.
right? What tools really stand out as extremely valuable in your prep journey?
Again, with CR, I've done what shouldn't be done. So this is
Okay.
again a lesson. So I've seen the pre-thinking concept and the approach towards that. I felt it was good, but
Mhm.
one thing I didn't understand is rethinking, okay, this has a falsification scenario. Then I'll write down the scenarios and all this. So isn't this taking too much time? Is it even practical to do all this in exam were my questions. So over a period of time, though I understood that uh, the course was emphasizing on pre-thinking, I thought probably this is not required. And without pre-thinking also, I was able to do a few questions and I was faltering in a few other questions, especially on the lower difficulty level. Without pre-thinking approach, I was able to do, but others I was faltering. So after this, I realized after my first attempt, first actual GMAT attempt, I was not doing pre-thinking religiously. So then I got a reality check. Then I went through the course again, the way people emphasize on pre-thinking. So at that point, I decided I'll not put my own thoughts into it. I'll follow what the course says exactly because we have experienced people over there who
Mhm.
have seen a lot of students. And then I adopted pre-thinking very consciously. One thing which changed my CR prep and my CR performance is during practice, you should not time yourself.
Mhm.
And the entire focus should be on pre-thinking. You
Mhm.
falsify a scenario and identify all the possible answers or all possible scenarios in which you can negate the conclusion. If I have just one conclusion, it's not enough if you answer the question and move on.
Mhm.
There are maybe 4 ways or 5 ways of falsifying that conclusion. This I have identified in one of the solution videos, I think by Harsha, one of the mentor at eGMAT. The way he says, even if you're giving one conclusion, he points out, I think, 4 or 5 or how many ever falsification scenarios he can. So
Mhm.
this way, it preps us to broadly understand the way we do the falsification. And tomorrow, if you're getting a similar kind of scenario, you'll be able to immediately identify the scenarios. So this is what has reduced my time in pre-thinking in the actual exam. So this I learned it in a hard way of giving one attempt, not able to do well, and then coming back. So I would advise whosoever are preparing to actually follow the pre-thinking and do the course in a structured way.
Absolutely, right? I think it's very valuable that you're giving us these learnings in this way, as in, don't just trust me blindly. Learn from my mistakes. See what I've done. Don't do
Yes.
what I've done, right? But all right. Okay, so this was your really big learning on the CR side of things. What about RC? What was your RC journey really like?
RC, initially, I was not like at the first stage, like with the mock, I was good.
Mm-hmm.
RC was good because I was not timing myself. And RC is something we have done at school and college level also. So, but the problem is I was not able to do within the timed environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've done a few RC passages. I was not able to do well. I was not able to see the subtle tone changes. Those things I was not able to understand initially. Then once I went through the master comprehension course and one video of Rajat, I think that has made a turnaround in my RC prep. Like you should read like a manager. You should not read to note and understand every single detail of the passage. You should read like a manager, understand how the passage is going, understand the flow, how it is taking, what's the direction it is taking. Once you understand this, you will be able to do all the RC questions also very decent enough. Because master comprehension is already in your hand. Then you
Mm-hmm.
have CR skills. Then you have pre-thinking. Pre-thinking also applies to a few of the RC questions. With all these three skills and the right perspective and right attitude, you can ace RC also. It's definitely not difficult.
Oh, absolutely, right? But it's really the fact that you've taken those words to heart and really acted upon them in such a precise manner, I think is truly, really, really well done. Amazing job. And I want
Thank
to, yeah, and I want to take a second here to just actually show the fruits of your labor on the
you.
course itself, right? Where, as we can see, your hard accuracy is just phenomenal, right? That 70th percentile, 70% accuracy on hard questions is something that shows that, you've crossed the threshold wide and clear, and you've put that effort to go beyond the threshold because you had set your sights so high, right? All the incremental improvements, all the focused effort have really culminated in these amazing scores. So kudos to you, right? Really,
You.
really well. Yeah. Okay. But that was your verbal prep in a gist. And then we moved on to quant, which, as you mentioned, was a bit of a shocker to you when you were starting out. For context, you had started out in the 24th percentile with, on the old scale, a Q34. And it's clear that across both arithmetic and algebra geometry, you did have some work that needed to be done. So, how did the structure of the quant course really enable that improvement to the 100th percentile?
Firstly, the mock score grounded me.
Oh,
So I didn't take off from a very high altitude.
mm-hmm,
So then I started off, okay, I need to put efforts in quant also. That was my initial thought. Then I started off the first course, the basic concepts and all, they were like very basic.
mm-hmm,
And moreover, as you know, I am a mother to a 1 year old. I don't have so much time back at that time
mm-hmm,
to put in to give time to those basic concepts which I already know of.
mm-hmm,
And then the space module is one thing that really helped me.
mm-hmm,
It helped me focus on the right points and ignore those points which I'm already good at,
mm-hmm.
which we the skills which we might have acquired at school or college level. I didn't have to redo all those things because I was very good enough in that. So I think in quant pace is like one module which will really give you so much time saving. So
Mm-hmm.
that way I started off with quant. I didn't have much time, so the amount of time that I had, I was able to focus on the things that are required.
Oh, yeah,
And then
absolutely.
yeah.
As we can see, you were able to skip most of the
Yes.
quant basics course,
Yes.
just focusing on the few areas that really needed your time and effort, right?
Yes.
And especially for you as a new mom, I'm sure every second, like you said, you had to make it valuable,
Yes.
right? Okay. So you started off with quant basics, you made sure you had those few fundamentals in place. And then what was the first section that you really tackled on the quant side?
I think I tackled with the number properties.
Mhm. Oh,
So
it is a
uh,
challenge, yeah.
yeah. But I never felt that the difficulty was higher. But
Mhm.
what I understood throughout the course was I was ignoring certain key like constraints that are given in the question. I was ignoring those. That
Mhm.
is the reason I was not able to get 100% during my prep or while I was learning. So this, I thought, okay, this can be overcome. This is such a small mistake. This can be overcome was my initial attitude. But this has costed me a lot during mock exams. And also this eventually I realized that these are not really small. These are laid for a purpose, the
Mhm.
way Payal says it. And we are supposed to work on these shortcomings and overcome it. At this point, I would say master comprehension is one module that has really helped me ace quant also.
In
Your
quant?
quants, yes, quant skills is one aspect.
Mhm.
And say you have a word problem, Rida, it's almost four liner problem.
Oh,
By the
yeah.
end of fourth line, do you realize that he's asking about the cost price? Is he asking about the selling price? Is he given something about the mark price? You're clueless. And that is a point where the examiner wants you to falter.
Mhm.
So this can be aced by read one sentence, understand what he's asking or what he's telling, then again go to the next sentence, note down, and again the third sentence. The entire quant turnaround also happened because of that master comprehension.
Oh,
What
wow.
Payal says, visualize,
Mhm.
then translate, infer, and do all these at smaller intervals.
Mhm.
This is
Oh,
what has made me reach from probably my 70 or 80th percentile to the 100 percentile.
oh, yeah. A Q90 is just phenomenal. It's absolutely brilliant, right? So I think this perfect combination of master comprehension and the process skills really pushed you that last mile. So
Yes,
kudos to you.
thank you. Actually, I was ignoring all these. These are so small. Do they really contribute anything? Was my first thought after seeing all these solutions and the way the mentors emphasize. But these are what are essential to move forward. That's my learning through the course.
Wonderful. Really, really well done. So I know that as you did both verbal and quant, one of the key parts of your prep was also cementing, right? Through Scholaranium. What, how did cementing really play that essential role? Did it help you improve at all, or what was it really like for you?
The Scholaranium is like a treasure. I don't think you'll get these questions, this type of questions. They're actually the GMAT standard questions, and you don't get these type of questions anywhere else. One thing we all know, we are short of quality questions for GMAT practice, which is only from the official. So the questions with e-GMAT, no, they're of the actually GMAT level, and you can really test your abilities on that. One thing is, before my first attempt, I did use up a lot of Scholaranium questions, which I would say that others shouldn't do this
Mm-hmm.
because my initial thought and attempt was I'll practice more so that I'll get to understand the exam more and I'll perform better in the final exam. It is not so.
Mm-hmm.
Scholaranium questions are to test your abilities. It's not to learn entirely from these questions.
Mm-hmm.
That is one learning I would say. And then the cementing initially, like I said, initially when I've done right after the course, I've done a few. I did a few of them after taking a pause. These things probably has increased the duration of my prep. If I had perfected myself immediately after going through the course, I wouldn't have spent so much
Mm-hmm.
on coming back, redoing the course, and all this. So, and once you're done with any module, I think you should periodically revise it, probably once in 2 days, once in 3 days. This is one step that I missed, and I had to pay back with my time.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because you
Yes.
need to keep that muscle memory alive. Absolutely.
And after some time, I realized I was not analyzing these attempts very well. If I was more focused on, am I getting a 70%? Am I getting an 80%? This was my focus.
Mm-hmm.
After some time, I realized more than what I scored, more than the numbers, I should be analyzing the question. If it has gone wrong, it is not enough to understand what is the right answer. it is all the more important to understand why did I choose the wrong answer and what made me choose that wrong answer. If you can identify that reasoning, I think that is what will give you a significant improvement in your subsequent attempts. This I realized a bit later in the journey.
Mhm. But the great thing is you had that realization and then you
Yes.
were really able to act on it as well, as we can see sitting here right now, right? So I'm glad that the change that you made really had that great impact. I'm so, so happy to hear that,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So that essentially rounded out your quant prep. Now we move to DI. And
Yeah.
from even your first to second attempt, you went from a 77 to an 82, which is a huge, huge improvement because 77th is only 66th percentile, and 82, you've already then pushed beyond the 90s, right? Into, in fact, you've pushed into 94. So how did you really start preparing for the DI section, right? I assume you must have started with GITA.
Yes, GI. I started with GITA. I understood GI was good, and I'm also good at GI and TA. So I was not very concerned. And then in DI, I feel what plays is your strategy to approach DI.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we should be sure that 100% attempt on DI, like we do in quant or verbal, is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And you should not be disappointed with that because that is how all your test takers are. So, firstly, we have to come out of that mindset with respect to DI. Then you see the modules where you can perform and where there is a scope that you can reach the higher percentiles.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I see on GITA, that's absolutely doable. GI, if you go through a few of the questions, you will understand how the question is asking. And the entire focus on GI is like you have the quant skill basic calculation, plus the traps will be in terms of the language. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how GI is there. So you have all the skill set. So GI, there's no reason that you should score a lesser score. TA, it's a bit on the easier side compared to the other tough questions. Probably in very few cases, there is a higher difficulty question. Once you solve all those questions, you'll get a hang of it, GITA. Then what else we have? TPA.
Mm-hmm.
TPA is something which I worked on a lot. I was initially not able to do very well in TPA,
Mm-hmm.
but again, it's a mix of verbal and math. Where verbal is there, it's again like CR. It is same as CR. You should be able to do that. Once you master CR, TPA verbal is not really tough. And then TPA math, it's again the language is what makes the question complicated. You are if you can understand what creates a problem, then you can see and devise your own strategy. So that way I attack TPA. And then we have MSR. MSR, I was doing good. I was able to solve MSR questions also very well. But then I understand in a time practice, the investment to return ratio is not great for MSR, the
Mm-hmm.
time to return ratio. So I made a conscious strategy to skip MSR and come back only after I have done all the questions.
Extremely smart. Really
Yeah,
well
so
thought out.
yes, even though I was good at MSR and I was able to solve it, but investment to return ratio is not very great. So I skipped it MSR. And then what else we have in DI?
DS.
DS. Yes. DS in my first attempt, if you see, I think it was very low. My score was very low. Then I worked on DS, and this DS was not like I worked exactly on DS. If you just see, I perfected myself in master comprehension and visualization, inference, translation, all the process skills. So perfection in DS has come naturally.
Mm-hmm.
If you see all my mock attempts and even the final attempt, always I have scored almost more than 90 percentile in DS. So this has come out very naturally. So for DS, I think it's students really worry a lot about DS, but it's all you need to have the right skill set to do DS. Once
Mm-hmm.
you do all the other things, DS comes very naturally.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, DS can save you a lot of time in the DI section as well. It's one of those types of questions. Would you agree?
Very much.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to arrive at the answer. That's the key point of DS. You just have to see, is it sufficient or not?
Yeah. And as
Yeah.
soon as you have that realization, you stop, pick the appropriate answer, and then just move forward, right?
Yeah.
So, absolutely, very, very much true. Okay. So now we had all of these individual pieces in piece, right? We
Mm.
had the verbal piece, the quant piece, and the DI piece. And I know that between attempts 1 and 2, especially, you were really involved in the mentorship side of things, and you had both Payal and I who were assisting you during that time. What role do you think, if any, that mentorship really played in that last mile to your 695 score?
Mm. Ultimately, whatever has to be done by the student.
Yes.
But the mentor is one person who would ensure that you're in the right direction
Mhm.
and your efforts are in the right direction. I think this was very well done by you and Payal. I just can't thank you enough. Both of you have actually changed my approach towards GMAT. Whatever I'm telling, this process skills of visualization and the master comprehension skills, all these have gained during this period between the first and the second attempts. So thank you so much. Though I have implemented this, it was you guys who told me that these are important and it is these things that you need to focus on. Especially when I started off after the first attempt, I was very, very low on confidence on verbal.
Mhm.
Then that was the time when Payal has shown me the my personalized plan.
Mhm.
She actually delved into what I have done with respect to my previous mocks, previous cementings, and previous attempt. She has gone through all this and meticulously she has prepared a plan, which I was very well impressed. It was just a 15-minute call, but I was so excited about this that the way she has put a objective target, you move from this point, this score to this score. You need a 3 point improvement, a 2 point improvement. So just showing this, whatever improvement in an objective manner has really captured my attention. And then I thought, okay, this GMAT is not like anything qualitative. You should just perform well in verbal. You should just perform well in quant. It's not like that. You should perform, you should get a 2 point improvement. And this 2 point improvement is easier to get from this aspect, this aspect, this aspect. So that way you can channelize your energies and everything very consciously and you can see the improvement. And
Okay.
this improvement actually you can do it very well if probably if you're at a 50th percentile in one aspect, you can easily go to an 80th percentile. But achieving that 80 to 90th percentile is very tough.
Oh,
So
yeah.
wherever I was low on performance, she identified those aspects and she immediately has driven my attention towards that. Wherein I was able to do it easily. In some sections, I had to do it with a lot of effort because I wanted to reach that last mile. So
Okay.
that's how this LMP has transformed my prep.
And I know both Payal and I are ecstatic about your success. We're so happy to have played even some part in helping you take all the right decisions there. And one thing I want to point out, which is absolutely true, Payal and I can sit here and we can say all these things, but very aptly you've put it that this is still a journey driven by you, right? This is your GMAT journey. This is your goal. So the effort that you put in is the most important ingredient throughout all of this. Very, very, very true.
Thank you. And there is a conception, I would say it's a misconception that students often feel if you're enrolled in a coaching or in a course, it is often driven by them and you don't have your choice. That's what they feel. And some people, they don't even incline towards taking a course or a coaching. But throughout my journey, I never felt so with eGMAT. You always have the leverage to do the way you want, and you can always check with your mentors whether this is the appropriate way. With their experience, they will definitely step in and say this is okay, but this is what you'll face. Instead, this is the best way. So
Mhm.
again, we are at a freedom to take whatever decision we need, but it will give you experience without putting in much of your time and efforts. That is what a course or a tutor or whosoever will be doing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Very, very true. Right? Okay. So now, after all of this, we'd entered the last phase of your GMAT prep, which was your mocks. And I actually
Really.
want to show our audience the last two mock test scores that you had achieved prior to your second attempt. This one on top was prior to your first attempt, the 655. But you can see these two scores, they're almost very, very predictive of the overall score that you actually achieved on the test day. And I know the same was true with a lot of your official mocks as well. What was your mock strategy and how did you work towards getting to your target score on mocks as well?
Firstly, I was very anxious while giving the mocks. I had to I wanted to clear GMAT at any cost in my second attempt. So I was very anxious how it will go. And initially, when I took the mocks, I had that tension in me when I was appearing for the exam. So I calmed myself. I told myself that this wouldn't fetch you anything. If you remember, even during the first attempt, also, this was my one major problem I told you. Then I overcame that, probably confidence in myself, seeing the scores and all, it has helped me. Then this mock has given me the platform to test how should I go. The sequence, quant, verbal DI, or verbal quant DI, what is the sequence? It has given me room to test all this.
Mm-hmm.
And till now, we have been doing like 10 question test or a 20 question test. We did not go for a full length test. So, timing yourself and ensuring that we are completing in that time and then taking a pause. And sometimes, when one section is very tough and you move on to the next section, your mind will still be stuck on that difficulty level and you'll really not be able to perform on the next one. This has happened in two of my mocks.
Mm-hmm.
I have done verbal very well, but I thought I didn't do, and
Mm-hmm.
this has affected my DI. So in DI, I have done very well till the 18th question. I don't know why at 19th question I got a memory of my verbal and I faltered. I think I left two questions also. I left them unanswered. So this effect has fallen on quant. I was not able to do quant at all. Like in third question, I was clueless how should I go about, which definitely if it happens at 18th question or 19th question, you can still understand. But
Mm-hmm.
at third question, it really took a toll. I was not able to perform in quant. I think ultimately I got somewhere in 80th percentile or something in quant. So this happened with two of my mock tests. So the significant learning, I even mentioned it in my learning book that the previous section's attempt should not fall on the current section attempt. This is one greatest learning that I've taken from this mock test.
Mm-hmm.
It actually simulates the environment and ensures you're working in that time pressure. That is what the mock essentially give you firstly. In
Mm-hmm.
the final exam also, I have experienced this. Verbal went on. Then DI, I was not really very confident. I didn't feel I did DI very well.
Mm-hmm.
But then after DI, I've taken a break of I think around 5 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Then I just closed my eyes. I told myself the pattern is repeating. Let the pattern repeat, but your attitude towards that should not be repeating. And then I went ahead with quant. Again, at the third question, there was a server issue and the
Mm-hmm. Oh
test
wow.
was down.
Oh wow. Okay.
Test was down. So the entire network got crashed and I don't have the test. It closed off. Then the proctor had to come and intervene. It took almost, I think, around 10 to 15 minutes. This time I have used to again calm myself that okay, the test will be live in 10 minutes. Now the previous attempt should that effect should not fall onto this effect. I was calming myself. I soothed myself. I was at the normal stage by the time the test restarted. I think that was very much in my favor. The test restarted and then I went ahead with a calm and composed mind. And towards the end of quant also, after the 21st question, I think I was still thinking of my attempt was not really great. And I know that in quant, I had doubts with respect to three questions. I was not able to do very well while solving the question. I understood that I would definitely have made a mistake in that. Then again, I thought of, okay, let the attempt not go good, but I have to get 100 percentile in quant. This is my only aim, and this is something which is in my hand. So I told myself, and I came back. I visited those three questions, and as expected, they were wrong. I corrected those three questions, and finally, I got 100 percentile.
perfect 90, right? Which makes me smile every time I think about it. So, such a transformative journey, even in the mocks, and it requires a lot of mental strength to actually move forward the way that you have. So, hats off to you because
Thank you.
you've consistently done such a great job and made those improvements time and time again, right? Really, really great job. Yeah. But
Thank you. Thank you so much.
yeah. But now you stand thankfully at the end of all of this, right?
Yes, yes.
You absolutely have killed it, right? Amazing scores all around. Looking back, if you had to give yourself any advice, the Leela who is just starting these things out, or to other aspirants who are maybe stuck somewhere in their prep and just are at the verge of giving up, what would you really have to say to them?
I would say the platform, the courses, whatever we take, be it any course, they definitely have a structure and they emphasize on certain aspects. However small or big they seem, follow it because these concepts or these strategies that they are devised after putting in a bit of efforts, a bit of their experience, after seeing so many candidates. And the main reason for opting for a course is to reduce the timeline in which you can succeed. You
Mhm,
have to learn from others' mistakes instead of you committing them yourself and then learning
mhm.
the way I have done in CR. So had I gone as per the course structure or what the course emphasizes, probably I would have saved a lot of time. This is one thing I would say every aspirant should follow.
Absolutely, right? Very, very well said. But I think with that absolutely stellar piece of advice, we're going to bid farewell to all of our viewers. I'm going to take the opportunity to thank you again for coming here. You've had so many wonderful insights throughout the course of this conversation. And I'm sure that for our viewers out there, these are invaluable nuggets of wisdom on their GMAT journey, right? So thank you and congrats once again.
Thank you so much, Rida. It's always a pleasure to help others. Just do not commit the mistakes that I have done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, to everyone out there, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our interview. All the best, happy learning, and take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Rida. Bye.